this desert sand in the Middle East, modern weapons clash in a fierce and fiery contest. But this isn't a conventional battle. It's a duel between weapons developers for the region's lucrative arms market. In the Cold War era of weapons proliferation, battle lines between NATO and the Warsaw Pact were clearly drawn. But as this duel recedes into history, defense industries on both sides are faced with new dilemmas. To what degree should they fund new weapons technologies? Will today's relative tranquility last? Will there be a need to maintain robust defenses? The United States and most European nations continue to develop new weapons as insurance against an uncertain future. But as domestic markets shrink, many nations hope to sustain their defense industries by selling technologies abroad. Countries of the Middle East present such an opportunity to foreign weapons developers. With very few local arms manufacturers, imported technologies are called upon to outfit well-financed armies of the region. And in an area where tensions continue to run high, there is a heavy demand for military modernization. In this episode of Arsenal, we will review the technologies that compete for the Middle Eastern dollar and see them in action as they compete in the duel in the desert. It is one of the brightest stars in the arms market today. This is the Russian T-90 main battle tank. Although it's called the T-90, this tank is actually an advancement of the well-known T-72. In the former Soviet Union, it was common to manufacture two tank models in parallel production. An advanced, expensive tank was built at the same time as a less sophisticated, less costly main battle tank. This two-tiered approach was necessary in order to sufficiently equip the mammoth forces of the former Soviet Army. The first high-cost tank was the T-64, later the T-80. Its low-cost economy tank since the early 1970s has been the T-72. Not only was the T-72 built in large numbers for the Soviets, but it was the primary tank exported to the members of the Warsaw Pact. In addition, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Algeria, Libya, and more than a dozen other nations made the T-72 one of the most widely used tanks of its generation. It was also manufactured in Poland, India, the former Czechoslovakia, and the former Yugoslavia. It is still in production in some of these countries. The T-90 is a radical departure from the tradition of economy established by the T-72. It adapts the best and most sophisticated features of the T-80U tank on a less expensive chassis, and its diesel power plant is less costly to operate than the turbine-powered T-80. Let's take a look at some of the features of the T-90, the latest in Russian tank development. The heart of the changes in the T-90 are in its weapon systems. It uses the same 125mm smoothbore gun as the T-80U. This version increases accuracy by 20 to 25% compared to earlier models. A new gun has been developed which offers a replaceable chromium barrel liner to improve the notoriously short barrel life of early Russian gun tubes. But the biggest improvement in the T-90 gun is its ability to fire the new generation of ammunition developed by NIMI, the Mechanical Engineering Research Institute in Moscow. This ammunition includes a full range of armor-penetrating, fin-stabilized, discarding sabot projectiles using tungsten alloy and depleted uranium long-rod penetrators. Alternative types of ammunition include a new family of high-explosive anti-tank rounds, a round with a depleted uranium cone, and the world's first tank round with a triple charge system to defeat advanced reactive armor. NIMI has developed other innovative ammunitions for the T-90, including a high explosive round designed to airburst over enemy infantry or anti-tank positions using a timed laser pulse. T-90 also fires the full range of Russian guided projectiles, such as the Reflex and the new Agona. No matter how powerful the gun, it is nearly useless without sophisticated fire control systems. The T-90 employs a derivative of the fire control system used in the T-80U, along with a new digital ballistic computer and wind sensor. Traditionally, Russian tanks have trailed their Western counterparts in night fighting and have been slow to adopt thermal imaging night sights due to their cost, as well as manufacturing problems associated with sophisticated sensors. But as the Gulf War of 1991 clearly demonstrated, thermal imaging sights are a necessity on the modern battlefield in order for tanks to find targets accurately at night or when smoke or fog obscures daytime targets. As such, the T-90 can be fitted with current Russian thermal imaging sights such as the Agava. It has been widely reported that the T-90 is equipped with a T-80U turret, but this is clearly not the case. The T-90 does share a similar fire control and gun system with the T-80U, but the turret is based on the earlier T-72B. The T-72B turret was retained on the T-90 because it was the best protected contemporary Russian design. The T-72B uses a version of Cha-Bum armor consisting of a basic steel armor shell, equivalent to 15 inches of steel armor, alternating layers of aluminum and plastics, and a controlled deformation section. In addition, the T-90 has a layer of third-generation Contact 5 reactive armor applique, offering a 34 to 57% increase in protection at a very modest weight cost, about 3 metric tons. This package gives the T-90 the equivalent protection of 32 inches of steel armor against kinetic energy penetrators, and the equivalent of 48 inches against shaped charge warheads common to anti-tank missiles. The T-90 is one of the first tanks with a defensive electronic system that combats missiles and other precision-guided munitions. Called Stora-1, this system has 4 elements: electro-optical dazzlers, laser warning detectors, anti-laser smoke grenade launchers, and system controls. The 2 devices on either side of the gun tube are electro-optical dazzlers that confuse tracking systems used by wire-guided missiles. This system is supported by 4 laser illumination sensors on the turret that warn the crew when enemy lasers are range-finding or designating targets. When enemy lasers trigger the sensors, Stora automatically launches smoke grenades to shield the tank and issues a warning to the crew of the laser designation. One of the main differences between the T-90 and the T-80U is in propulsion. The T-90 uses an 840 horsepower diesel engine, while the T-80U uses a 1,000 horsepower turbine engine. A turbine-powered engine generally offers more power for a given weight and space than diesel power, but tends to consume more fuel. Diesel engines, while more economical in initial purchase costs and operation, have only recently had their power outputs reach the level of turbines. After unfavorable experiences with T-80 turbines in the Chechen conflict, the Russian army selected diesel-powered T-90s. But this decision has not been universally accepted, and many Russian tankers still consider the T-80U to be the superior design. Many Russian tankers and Western analysts agree that the T-80UK is the finest tank in Russian service, based on its excellent engineering, highly integrated fire controls, and most notably, the automotive performance afforded by its 1,000 horsepower turbine engine, nearly 20% more powerful than the T-90's diesel engine. As the T-90 has been selected as Russia's principal tank, the continued simultaneous production of 2 different tanks may puzzle post-Cold War Western observers. The reasons today are more economic than technical in nature. The T-90 is produced in Nizhny Tagil and the T-80 in Omsk. If one of the plants were shut down in favor of producing a single design, its local economy would greatly suffer. As a result, Russian defense officials have chosen to produce the T-90 for domestic requirements, while offering the high-tech T-80 for export. The T-80 pioneered many of the features that are now found in the T-90. They share the same gun, fire controls, and store a defensive system. And though their armor protection is not identical, it is very similar. Like the T-90, the T-80 is fitted with a laminate armor hull and turret, and an applique layer of Contact 5 reactive armor. Although Russian tanks developed a poor reputation for armor protection in the 1991 Gulf War, Iraq employed older model T-72s, which had substantially less protection than either today's T-80 or T-90. The new Russian tanks have armor protection approaching that of the best Western tanks, but in a substantially smaller and lighter vehicle. A more significant difference between Western and Russian tanks is long-range firepower. Western designers have preferred sophisticated computer-based fire control systems, supported by a network of wind and barrel warp sensors, ammunition temperature gauges, and other sensors. Such systems allow for outstanding accuracy, even when firing unguided ammunition. The Russians, though, prefer guided projectiles for long-range firing. The T-80 and T-90 both fire the reflex guided projectile, which has a high level of accuracy in ranges of 5 kilometers. The reflex contains an advanced 4.2 kilogram shaped charge warhead, which can penetrate the equivalent of 30 inches of steel armor. After the reflex is launched, the T-80's fire control system emits a laser funnel with the missile riding in the center. The frequency of the laser beam is modulated in different sectors around the funnel, so if the missile deviates off-center, the onboard guidance system can make flight corrections accordingly. The reflex is reported to have an 80% probability of a hit at 5,000 meters. With a list price of $40,000 per round, most armies generally outfit a tank with an average of only 4 of these highly accurate but highly priced missiles. A close relative to the T-80 and T-90 tanks is the T-84 Supertank. The main difference between the T-84 and its cousins is its point of origin, Kharkov in the Ukraine. The T-84 Supertank highlights one of the national defense dilemmas in the former Soviet Union. Should the newly independent republics foster large defense industries? Lacking other viable alternatives, Many of the republics have answered yes. Curiously enough, Ukraine had long been the center of Soviet tank development. The Melishov plant in Kharkov was home to the two most revolutionary tank designs in Soviet history, the legendary T-34 tank of World War II and the radical T-64, the best tank of the 1960s. Prior to the Soviet collapse, Ukraine had shifted to the production of a version of the T-80 tank called the T-80UD. The T-80UD combines the best features of the Russian T-80 and T-90, sharing their advanced fire controls and armor features, but with a locally developed diesel engine that offers both the power of the T-80 turbine with the economy of the T-90 diesel. When Ukraine split from Russia in 1991, it had no source for the T-80UD turret castings and 125mm guns. But in the years since the breakup, Ukraine has regained these capabilities. A new welded turret was developed using German technology that offers somewhat better armor protection than the T-80U. The resulting tank has been dubbed the T-84 Supertank by Ukraine. In 1996, Ukraine sold 300 tanks to Pakistan, making it a serious player in the international market for advanced main battle tanks. While many nations in the Persian Gulf seek to acquire the latest in tank technology, other countries are saddled with older but still functional models. An alternative to purchasing new tanks is the modernization of older versions. Ukraine is attracting users of the widely exported Soviet T-72 to a major upgrade called the T-72AG. This upgrade substitutes the highly regarded Ukrainian 6TD diesel for the older T-72 engine, giving automotive performance approaching or surpassing many contemporary main battle tanks. Besides engine improvements, many countries are examining ways of making the T-72 the equivalent of the T-90. Slovakia has developed the T-72M2 Moderna upgrade, which uses a host of new advancements to update the venerable T-72. Tanks are not the only armored vehicles on today's battlefields, nor are they the only vehicles available on the international arms market. Many other vehicles, from self-propelled artillery to supply trucks, are needed to sustain an effective ground force. Of these vehicles, infantry combat vehicles are of particular interest, as they not only carry troops into the heart of the action, but many carry enough armaments to defend themselves without any additional support. The Russian BMP-3 infantry combat vehicle exemplifies this class of vehicles. The BMP-3 sets a new standard for firepower in its class. While most infantry combat vehicles are armed with autocannons in the 25 to 35mm range, the BMP-3 has a 30mm autocannon and a 100mm low-pressure gun. The BMP-3 is an attractive alternative for armies in the developing world because it combines the firepower of a tank with the infantry features of an armored transporter. As a result, the BMP-3 has been one of the leading success stories of recent Russian exports. The first export of the BMP-3 came in 1992 with the sale of 448 to the United Arab Emirates. The Emirates wanted an armored vehicle with heavy firepower that could support its newly acquired Leclerc main battle tanks from France. As a result, its BMP-3s, as seen here, are fitted with the same French Namut thermal imaging night sights used in its Leclercs. Recent buyers of the BMP-3 have included South Korea and Cyprus. At the present time, more BMP-3s have been built for foreign clients than for the Russian army. The BMP-3 shares another firepower feature in common with Russian main battle tanks, its guided projectile. The vehicle's gun can fire a guided projectile as well as high explosive ammunition, making it highly effective against enemy armor or helicopters at long range. While not a great concern in the Emirates, the BMP-3 is designed to be fully amphibious without preparation. This feature stems from the vehicle's European origins and the obstacles posed by rivers in temperate regions. The hull is buoyant by design and does not require sealing before water entry. Three features are employed to assist in water operations. A bow plane, lowered at the front to direct water away from the driver's vision devices. Rear hydrojet ports, which provide efficient water propulsion. And a small snorkel that automatically raises in the middle of the hull to prevent water from seeping into the engine compartment. The BMP-3 chassis serves as the basis for a host of other specialized vehicles, including a self-propelled 120mm artillery vehicle, a scout vehicle, recovery vehicle, and a missile-firing anti-tank vehicle. While there has been a long-standing debate between tankers over the virtues of diesel and turbine engines, other armored vehicle experts continue to argue the utility of tracked and wheeled vehicles. Tracked vehicles are widely favored in European climates, where snow and mud make it a rough go for similar wheeled vehicles. But in especially dry climates, wheeled vehicles are preferred for their higher speeds and economy. The BTR-80 is the latest in a long line of Russian wheeled armored transporters. While the original vehicles in this class in the late 1940s were little more than trucks with armored bodies, contemporary wheeled armored vehicles represent a very sophisticated design. The BTR-80 comes in two basic varieties. The BTR-80 that uses a conventional turret with a 14.5mm heavy machine gun, and the new BTR-80A that uses an advanced turret design and an externally mounted 30mm autocannon. Older generations of armored infantry vehicles were designed to merely transport troops. A vehicle in this class, such as BTR-80A, allow infantry to fight from within its armored hull. Each infantryman is provided with a firing port for his assault rifle and a periscope for aiming. The BTR-80A, like the BMP-3, is fully amphibious. It can easily ford small water obstructions, as we see here. If faced with a river or small lake, the BTR-80 can swim across. Its hydrojet sucks in water at one end of the vehicle and jets it to the rear for propulsion. With over 50,000 built, the M113 is the most widely manufactured tracked armored personnel carrier of all time. While not the most modern in design, it remains a simple, economical vehicle for the modern battlefield. The sheer number still in service ensures that the M113 will be on active duty well into the 21st century. Many armies are looking at ways to extend the life of their armored personnel carriers, with the German Bundeswehr being a good example. They fitted theirs with a new diesel engine and other upgrades that will extend its life for at least another decade. Not surprisingly, several upgrade programs are available, not only from Germany, but also from Pakistan. The M113 has spawned many derivatives, including the substantially redesigned M763 version. Although not built in large numbers for the U.S. Army, this vehicle became the basis for several foreign manufactured derivatives, including the Dutch YPR 763 and the Korean KIFV. The latest member of this family is a new version from Turkey. Turkey is relying on this well-proven chassis for a range of light armored vehicles, including the basic armored transporter seen here, an infantry fighting vehicle, a mortar carrier, and several other variations. Wheeled armored transporters are very popular in the Gulf due to its flat rolling desert. These vehicles are used by National Guard and border security units. while regular armies rely on heavily armored tracked vehicles. For the day-to-day duty of border patrol, wheeled armored vehicles offer both economy and ease of maintenance. The Pandur is a good example of a contemporary vehicle in this class. Pandur was developed in Austria by Steyr Daimler Puch, the well-known automotive firm. The first prototypes of this vehicle were rolled out in the mid-80s for the Austrian army, who wanted a simple, economical armored vehicle for UN peacekeeping missions. The Kuwaiti National Guard selected the Pandur in 1996, issuing a contract for 70 vehicles with an option to expand the order to 200. This version is fitted with an American 25mm Bushmaster cannon, the same weapon as the U.S. Army's Bradley fighting vehicle. Kuwait desired conformity between its National Guard's patrol vehicles and its regular Army's heavy infantry vehicle, and fitted them both with the same gun. The Pandur, like many armored vehicles in its class, is of modular design and can be fitted with a wide range of weapons from light machine guns to 90mm fire support weapons. It has many specialized variants, including air defense vehicles, command and communication vehicles, ambulances, and others as well. The growth of the export market has led many developers to customize designs specifically for their clients. A good example of this is GKN Defense's Desert Warrior. The Desert Warrior is a derivative of the Warrior infantry fighting vehicle used by the British Army. After the Gulf War of 1991, Kuwait expressed interest in acquiring the Warrior after seeing it in action. However, Kuwaiti requirements were different from the British specifications. They desired a weapons arrangement similar to the American Bradley, with a 25mm Bushmaster chain gun and a TOW anti-tank missile launcher. So was born the Desert Warrior. The Desert Warrior substitutes the U.S. Delco Systems turret, originally developed for the U.S. Marine Corps' LAV, but is fitted with TOW missiles. The result is a roughly 70% British and 30% American vehicle. This mix and match approach is increasingly common as export clients pick systems specifically for their needs. In August 1993, Kuwait signed a $740 million contract for the delivery of 254 GKN Defense Desert Warrior IFVs. Delivery began in 1994 and lasted through 1997. For heavy firepower support, few weapons can challenge the self-propelled 155mm gun. Among the more novel configurations of such a weapon is South Africa's G6. Most European and American weapons in this class are based on track chassis. But South Africa selected a wheel chassis to accommodate its local terrain. The vastness of its country, combined with dry rolling plains, gives this wheeled vehicle greater strategic mobility. This point has been widely appreciated in the Gulf, where the G6 has proven very popular. The United Arab Emirates was the first foreign customer, purchasing 78 G6 guns in 1990. In 1994, Oman followed suit and ordered 24 vehicles. The firepower of the G6 is tremendous, as evidenced by this demonstration. In addition to self-propelled guns, South Africa offers other artillery weapons, such as the Bateleur multiple rocket launcher. This weapon combines two interesting features: the chassis of a mine-resistant transporter with a multiple rocket launcher. One of the surprises of the Bateleur is the amount of shrieking from its rockets after launch. This may be an added feature for its psychological effect on nearby troops. Another multiple rocket launcher prominent in the Gulf region is the Russian Smerch. This massive system fires 300mm rockets at ranges over 45 kilometers. Kuwait was the first country in the region to acquire this system, ordering 26 vehicles in 1995. Smerch rockets can carry a wide range of submunitions, including dual-purpose anti-tank, anti-personnel types, mines, and even the sophisticated motive-guided submunition. The growing importance of peacekeeping operations has led to interesting forms of armored vehicles. An excellent example is South Africa's Casspir mine-resistant vehicle. Anti-personnel and anti-tank mines have been a major problem facing peacekeeping forces, as they prevent the use of roads for both armies and civilians. South Africa began facing these problems more than a decade ago and developed a unique solution: a relatively inexpensive vehicle that sacrifices its external parts to save its passengers inside. The armored body of the Casspir is designed to divert the explosive force of a mine away from the passenger compartment. Vehicles of this design can be used in mine-infested areas with little fear of troops being injured. Damaged vehicles can be quickly and inexpensively repaired. Here, we see a mine-resistant Casspir detonate a 7-kilogram anti-tank mine that blows off the rear wheels. A mine of this size would easily destroy most trucks. Quite remarkably, none of the several passengers in this Casspir were injured. This Casspir was repaired and returned to action in about 20 minutes, requiring minimal support. For this reason, the Casspir is favored by United Nations peacekeeping forces. Another special purpose vehicle is the British Aquatrack. This multi-purpose utility vehicle is designed for operations in coastal areas. At home, on land, and in the sea, Aquatrack can transport personnel or equipment across waterways or along coastlines. It is particularly useful in combat engineer operations. Special Forces operations since the Gulf War of 1991 have found the utility of specialized equipment for such missions. U.S. and British long-range reconnaissance patrols have found lightweight scout vehicles useful in order to insert teams deep behind enemy lines. The advanced light scout vehicle seen here is typical of this category. The first designs were based on Baja dune buggies, a popular sport vehicle in the California deserts. With its unique suspension, the advanced light scout is well suited for all-terrain travel. The frame is extremely light. enabling the vehicle to be airlifted by helicopter if necessary. The armaments vary considerably, usually including machine guns and grenade launchers. For other missions, including the border patrol tasks of National Guard units, more firepower is necessary. The Humvee all-terrain vehicle, armed with a Gatling gun that fires hundreds of rounds per second, provides a formidable punch. Special forces also need specialized equipment for missions from the air. An Australian firm displayed new technologies for the insertion and extraction of troops by helicopter. In this simulated mission, 2 Special Forces troops are inserted into the area of a downed pilot. As they strap him into the rescue harness, the helicopter returns to quickly extract the rescue party and pilot. Such a system is particularly useful for operations in rough terrain, where it would be difficult to land, or when a helicopter cannot linger in a combat zone for an extended period of time. Special operations can not only be conducted from the land and air, but from the sea as well. The Manta fast attack craft seen here demonstrates such a use. This craft is designed for coastal patrols, coastal raiding, and the insertion of Special Forces teams. Capable of speeds over 50 knots, the speedy Manta is armed with a ring-mounted autocannon. The attack helicopter has become an indispensable weapon for modern armies. Its combination of heavy firepower and high speed makes it ideally suited for a wide range of combat missions. It has become a modern form of cavalry, serving as a commander's rapid reaction force. Today, Russia's Black Shark is one of the more impressive helicopters to watch. Black Shark was designed by the Kamov Design Bureau in the 1980s, in competition with the Mill Design Bureau's Mi-28 Havoc attack helicopter. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, the competition was never resolved. The Russian Army has bought small numbers of both types, but a major purchase has yet to occur, and lacking a large domestic one, the Kamov Bureau hopes to attract foreign customers to its design. The Black Shark is unique among attack helicopters in several respects. It is the only current attack helicopter with a one-man crew. It was the designer's conviction that modern electronics and automation would make it possible for a single pilot to handle this weapon. By reducing the size of the crew, the overall size and weight of the helicopter are also reduced. This remains a controversial point, and Kamov is now testing a two-seat version of the Black Shark, the Ka-52 Alligator, for armies preferring a two-man design. The other unique feature of the Black Shark is its counter-rotating blades. Most helicopters use a main rotor, teamed with a small tail rotor to provide stability. Kamov has pioneered a counter-rotating blade design that provides enough stability to eliminate the need for a delicate tail rotor altogether. The Black Shark is heavily armed. On its side is a 30mm autocannon, the same weapon used on many Russian armored vehicles. But its most potent weapon is the long-range laser-guided Vickers anti-tank missile. It also carries many other weapons, including these general-purpose rockets. The threat posed by the attack helicopter has led many armies to improve their air defense capabilities. Few air defense systems rival Russia's new Tu-S6 Tunguska. The Tunguska continues the long tradition of Russian air defense systems with its 30mm guns. This system unifies two gun barrels on either side of the turret, giving the Tunguska a total of 4 30mm cannons that produce a remarkable amount of firepower. The accuracy of the Tunguska gun system is a result of its advanced fire controls. On the roof of the vehicle, a rotating surveillance radar acquires enemy air targets such as helicopters or aircraft, while a second radar set on the turret directs the guns. The Tunguska is also fitted with a pair of electro-optical sights in case its radars are jammed by electronic countermeasures. Attack helicopters pose a special threat to ground formations, since they fire very long-range missiles, far beyond the range of most anti-aircraft guns. As a countermeasure, the Tunguska is fitted with the Trigolnik anti-aircraft missile. This missile provides long-range punch to deal with the standoff helicopter threat. The vehicle carries 8 of these missiles, which can also be used against ground targets in a pinch. Even though the Tunguska is likely to be the scourge of attack helicopters well into the next century, it has not enjoyed wide export sales yet. Its initial major order was from India, but the high capability of this system is certain to lead to future contracts. As a result of the breakdown in Cold War weapons acquisitions patterns, the international defense industry is developing a new trend, pitting traditional allies in competition with each other and forcing old foes into cooperative ventures. It will be intriguing to see what developments emerge from the duel in the desert.